From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
All right, welcome back. My name is John, and this is the Dewey Pod Monster Podcast. This is your weekly podcast about consumption. We are, of course, proud members of the U-Run Podcast Network. Find all of our old episodes, all of our new episodes, and all of our upcoming episodes, as well as all the other great shows on the U-Run Podcast Network at yourunpodcast.com. With me this week is the host of the Dewey Pod Monster Podcast. His name is Sean. Sean, how are you today?
You were born with an asshole, John. You don't need me.
No, I disagree. You're way better at editing than I could ever be. But assholes aside, what you been watching this week, Sean?
I got a few things that you've watched that I'll talk about. So if you have any questions on, how I feel about it, just let me know while we're talking about it here, okay? One thing I know you haven't watched, so let's put it that way. So first off, I went back and you had a great suggestion. Our buddy 42nd Street Pete was featured for like 5 seconds on Adjust Your Tracking, the Untold Story of the VHS Collector.
Got like 5 minutes over the course of the whole movie.
He's on more than the one time at the beginning? Oh, I guess maybe he is for a short amount of time.
He pops up a couple times. He's not on very long, but yeah, he is. Anyway.
This is a film. It's on Roku. It's from 2013. It's like an 80-minute movie that felt like 160. It felt quite long to me for some reason. And a lot of self-stroking about how cool VHS is. I mean, I love VHS. I love to watch movies that are ripped from VHS. That's how we come up with a lot of the ideas here. But some of these people, they are just straight up unhinged. I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. I'm not about that. If you think something's cool, that's cool. But I think like having the opinion that it's better, it's definitely not better. It's just different.
Depends how you define better, but that's all a matter of perspective. So
yeah, true. It's all subjective. Is that how that works? Objective? I'm not quite sure which one's which.
I can tell you I'm glad that I have, you can see my basement behind me. You've been here. A couple other people have. My basement is not a video store.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was that guy. There's a guy that now that you bring that up, there's a guy that his basement is like a video store. He actually, I think one of them once
he set it up as a video store.
Yeah.
Like
but
he had a counter and all that shit.
Yeah. He had the counter and all that stuff. This movie came out over 10 years ago. So I'm curious, like if there was a follow-up on two things. A, if they're still into the hobby, and B, if some of those people are still alive, because I could see some of them possibly not being with us anymore.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise. Well, we know 42nd Street Pete is still alive.
Correct.
And we know he's still
ornery as fuck.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that the majority of them are... Oh, what was up with the dude in the ball pit through the whole thing?
I think that was just his shtick. I have no idea. I don't know what that was about. He was like one of the more like cogent, coherent people on the whole thing. So,
except he was singing in a ball pit through the whole interview. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so you sound logical, but you're singing in a ball pit. So why are you sitting in pissy balls?
I mean, aren't we all just sitting in pissy balls?
I mean, occasionally.
At least the men in the audience are. Next up, I watched. I felt I was kind of like debating if I should bring this one up. I watched a documentary that I've had for a long time. It's called Chickenhawk, and the subtitle is Men Who Love Boys. It's a 1994 documentary about NAMBLA. And
oh, jeez.
Yeah, I've had it for a long time. I like weird documentaries. I think that's pretty documented for this show. They do interviews with members. They have interviews. They interview and they interact with people who have had interactions with these people. And one of them, there's one guy on this thing that's like, I don't know how to best describe it. There are people that have creepy vibes when you meet them, and that they're creepy before you actually have an interaction with them. You can just like look at them and say, that person's probably pretty creepy. There was like a lot of these people, these guys, this one guy in particular, it was an interesting documentary. So I'm going to preface it with that. There was a guy who had these interactions with like just random boys, right? And it was just one of those things where you could see everything that happened in this interaction. He just twisted it to be like that these boys were flirting with him. So they would just have a conversation. He would go up and he would just be like, there was one interaction that this guy had, and it was a boy, like a 13 or 14-year-old boy. and 2 girls. And he focused, like laser focused on this boy. And the girls were talking, but he just never paid any attention. It was just the creepiest thing. It's a really interesting, it's not, I don't want it to come across like it's glorifying like NAMBLA or anything. It's very actually anti, which most people probably should be anti, but they go to a pride parade in 94. So you can imagine like how that is. And they're like petitioning outside or in the parade or outside the outskirts of the parade, like trying to recruit people. And all of these people in the pride festivities are like, this doesn't represent us. Like we don't have any part of this. Yeah, right. Exactly. These guys are doing this thing. We don't sponsor that. We don't want anything to do with them. We don't want this to be here. It's a really interesting documentary. It doesn't do them any favors. It wasn't like tasteless or exploitative or anything. It was like a legit, I'm tiptoeing around it. It's like a legit investigation into kind of like what they're about. And it's creepy as fuck. But I think it's available on YouTube. I'm going to try and link it if I can find it. If not, it's probably something I'm going to be uploading to Internet Archive if it doesn't get me put on a list. So if you look at the link in the description, hopefully we'll find a YouTube link that doesn't link it back to me at all. But the last thing that I want to talk about is, I know that you've watched this because we talked about it really very briefly. I finished it. Down and Dirty Duck, which is... Oh, yeah. Yeah, the animated feature.
I don't think I finished it, but I watched
enough of it.
2/3 of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Down and Dirty Duck is like a low-rent Ralph Bakshi style animated film from 1974. It's about this insurance adjuster. It's all animated. It's like an X-rated animated film, and it explores...
I feel like X-rated gives it too much credit.
I mean, it never really got rated, actually. If you read into it, it never got rated, and they put they said it was X-rated to kind of like boost the marketing. But it's about this insurance adjuster, and I want to say it's in New York, and he gets put on assignment to go check out this woman who's a tattoo artist, like this really old woman who's a tattoo artist who claims, like she's trying to claim this insurance claim saying she's dead, but she's actually alive. And while he's there, she actually does die. She has a heart attack and dies. And in her will, she leaves this duck. I think his name is, I don't know, it doesn't matter. This insurance adjuster leaves the duck to him. The duck is like a 6 foot tall personified duck, like Donald Duck, but with who wears clothes. Like Donald Duck doesn't wear clothes except for the shirt, and a hat. But so the rest of the movie's like
clothes by cartoon standards.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So anyways, they go on these sexual adventures essentially. And it's kind of modeled after Fritz the Cat. Like Fritz the Cat came out and there was this big run on people trying to make a buck off of having X-rated cartoons in the theaters. Mm. And yeah, I mean, it's ugly. It's pretty fucking rotten. And it's
kind of boring from what I remember.
It's like super impenetrable. Like it's not, they try to be really funny. They try to do these jokes and it's just not very entertaining really at all. It's really ugly. It looks, the animation's just horrible. The drawings, the design are just fucking trash.
I would have been fine with the trash animation if the jokes landed.
Yeah.
But they don't. So it's just trash animation with shitty jokes and
yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't leave. I'm amazed you remember that much of it, but you also
I just finished
watched
it
more recently. Yeah, I watched it.
That's the only reason.
Probably a month ago at this point, and I just remember being like, "Well, I'm not going back to this."
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like they, I wouldn't recommend it. It has some kind of, I read about it.
Zero
it has
hot
some
dogs.
Connection to, huh?
0 hot dogs.
Oh, like, yeah, I wouldn't even waste a hot dog on that. It's got some really weird connection to Frank Zappa, which I've never really got into Frank Zappa or anything. So maybe if you're like into the Zappaverse or something, it's super cool for you or something. I don't know. It was just like,
I like Frank Zappa, but I didn't even catch the connection there.
It comes up later.
They might have had, I think he might have had like an album or something like, yeah, but okay. So maybe I did get to that point, but I didn't care much for it.
Yeah. It's just, it's not worth it. Like you can't find the full movie on YouTube or any, you might be able to find it on Daily Motion or one of those kind of sites that don't police it, but there's a lot of like animated genitals and boobs and just, I feel like it's a movie like in 1974, they were trying to go for this like edgy thing. But watching it today, there's so much better things out there that represent this that it got lost. And I'll probably link to a clip or something of it. But I'm not going to probably link to the full movie. If I can find it, maybe I will, but it's really honestly not worth the watch. Not worth the time, the 110 minutes or whatever it is. But yeah, that's all I got.
It's a hard watch. And it's not like, you hear like animated horny duck comedy, you almost think like, oh, this could be funny, and it just fails. So
yeah, it falls real flat.
Yeah. For me, I'm pretty sure you've seen 2 of the 3 things I'll bring up. 1, I'm not sure, but if you haven't seen it, you damn well better. Again, so do you want to start with that, or do you want to go with some trash, or do you want to go with something that you probably have seen and I don't know that we've talked about it before?
Let's save this thing that you don't think I've seen for last, and we'll start with the things that you did think I've seen.
We'll start with some straight fucking trash, although this movie looks like it should be good. The Video Dead is a movie from 1987, which has a really cool concept and a really like awesome poster, like the kind of poster that draws you in the video store when you're a teenager or maybe a little younger, and then you forget about it. And then when you're in your 40s, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this movie. I haven't watched this shit in a while. And you put it on, you're like, did I like this? Or because again, it's a cool concept. Like basically this haunted TV is in a house and zombies come out of it. And, you know, there's little moments, like there's little tastes of like cool shit that happens in it, primarily with the effects where the zombies come out of the TV and shit like that. But the rest of the time, these zombies, they don't really do much. They don't move very quick, which is, I'm not necessarily saying it has to be fast zombies, but these zombies just suck and kind of lumber around. And eventually they turn the TV off and the movie thankfully ends. It's a very long hour and a half to get through. And I mean, it's easy to find. It's a very free watch because it sucks, but it is not great. So
I would agree.
I remember you, your review of it, because on your internal bleeding site was meaner than I just was with it, but that's fair at the same time.
I'll link that review.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of those movies that, again, for a person who judges movies by their cover constantly, this one let me down quite a bit.
I think I remember it being a really cool concept, but execution was super poor.
It's almost one of those movies you can make, much like one that we'll probably talk about in the not too distant future here. It's one of those movies that's a cool enough concept that I wouldn't necessarily be against seeing a remake of it. Like if you got a little bit more money behind it and someone with like a good vision, like I could see it becoming cool. But this first go with it, it's like, it just sucks. It's not great. Yeah, but this is what people like talk about all the time. Like, why don't you take a cool concept that was a bad movie and remake that? And people don't do that. And here's the problem: is this movie cost like $14 to make and made all of like $12. So that's probably why they're not going to do it. It's not great, but we got what we got. And you know, I'm sure I'll watch some other shit before the next time that we talk. What I'm assuming you've seen, because this is very up your alley, we'll open the door to a little bit of Wrestler Corner. I watched the full story of Glow. I don't think that's the full title. It's on Tubi right now, but it's basically like a 2-hour-ish long documentary about the entire run of Glow Wrestling, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling in Las Vegas, and had not quite all of the women of Glow, but it probably had like 10 of the people that were in it. Posted some really bad rap videos that were really entertaining to watch in retrospect. I shared one of them over the weekend while I was watching it because I couldn't help but laugh. I like that they have 2 girls that are like, they're the metalheads of the group, but they still made them like 1980s Monster Squad rap their way through this. I'm like, those don't fit. That doesn't go together. Rap rock didn't become a thing till a few years later.
They were pioneers.
I guess so. You can kind of make that argument about quite a few things they did, though. There's I kind of want to go back and like, I'm sure YouTube has a ton of it, like dig up some of these matches and some of the other stuff. Mm-hmm. I know Netflix did a series about it too, which I not watched. I've heard it's pretty good, but I kind of want to go like down a rabbit hole and just kind of start watching some Glow matches and see some of the other stuff that they did outside this documentary, because for the time frame they're talking about, I believe it was like the late 80s, maybe early 90s that they were doing this. You know, the production quality, I'm not going to go as far to say it's quite where the WWF got to, but it's not that far off. It's pretty close to what they were doing in WCW, just all women. And these girls did some pretty, I mean, they showed this one girl's elbow break, like in this, I forget exactly what they were doing, but she like got thrown over one girl, like in kind of a body slam type thing. And the way she landed was just wrong. And her elbow, you know, those injuries you see in sports that just make, I always think of RG3's knee when it exploded in the middle of the field. This is like one of those where you watch and you're just like, oh my God, that's fucking brutal as shit. Like, and then they had to go like play it like 30 times over in like freeze frame and slow motion, like watching every ligament explode in this poor woman's like arm.
It was like a Mortal Kombat fucking fatality, and they show like the X-ray vision.
They showed her laying on the mat after, and her arm is like not even it's the skin is still there, but like anything connecting the like top of her arm to the bottom of her arm is not connected. It's just like trash. It's like, Jesus, man. It is a brutal as fuck injury. And then they show her like making peanut butter and jelly with her arm looks fine. I'm like, well, I guess that's good, but like I feel slightly traumatized now. But that's on Tubi, and I apologize, I'm not remembering it's something like Glow, the official like complete story or something like that. And I enjoyed the hell out of it for what it was. Like I said, I kind of want more. There's a couple people that like, they don't talk to the main like money guy in it, who I guess was still alive at the time of the recording. Like he wouldn't go on camera, and that would have been interesting to see, especially since he more or less just like pulled the plug on it overnight at one point. Yeah, I'm kind of interested. It's probably going to be a rabbit hole over the couple weeks in July where there's not a lot going on. And then last, and definitely not least, how do you feel about Charles Bronson?
I love him.
Yeah, I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan every time I like revisit one of his movies.
Canon Group movie, like collection of movies are the best.
I don't think this one was a canon one, but this is a late 80s movie called, I might mispronounce this because I'm not sure it's a real word. It's Kinjite Forbidden Subjects. So
Kinjite.
Basically Charles. Okay. Have you seen this one?
I'll let you talk.
So basically, Charles Bronson is kicking the shit out of these like gangster dudes that are like running a child sex trafficking ring. And the reason this movie is, well, one, you get brief moments with Nicole Eggert and Danny Trejo in it, so that's always a plus. They're both only on, Nicole Eggert's on screen for like 2 minutes and Danny Trejo's on screen for like 5 seconds, but it's still there. It counts. Where this movie excels, it's just some of the ridiculous shit that they have Bronson do for fight scenes. Like this guy is, I don't know how old he is because Charles Bronson is like, he came out of the womb at like age 60. Well, no, he's 60 and he's been 60 from the time he was 1 all the way up until he died. I'm assuming he's dead, right?
He's
dead. Probably dead.
There are lookalikes that play Charles Bronson in movies, but yes, sure. Charles Bronson has died quite a while ago.
So he's like this 60-year-old, 70-year-old man, whatever the fuck he is in this movie. He's ninja kicking dudes. He's beating the fuck out of people. He's got these really bad cut scenes where they're making a clearly different fist than his punch people. At one point, he force feeds a dude a gold watch with diamonds on it, which I thought was really funny. He's like, eat it. Eat the watch. Eat it. What the fuck is going on here? It is just pure Charles Bronson. Like, I don't want to go as far to call it an exploitation flick because it's missing some elements for that, thankfully. But it's fun as hell. And it's just, again, Charles Bronson being the cop that's doing his own thing and kicking the shit out of whoever gets in his way and blowing shit up in the process. And holy shit, it is absolutely worth watching. It is fun as hell.
I have never seen the full thing, but this was like a common movie that was shown on HBO back in the day. And I remember
sounds right.
maybe getting a free preview of HBO and catching a couple minutes of it before my parents probably came in the room and they're like, what the fuck are you watching? Nothing. I'm watching nothing.
Spice Channel.
Yeah, not watching Charles Bronson. No way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the Nicole Eggert, the scene that you posted on Blue Sky is the one that I remember. Like
it's pretty early in the movie.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I thought that I thought that she was his daughter, but it's actually Peggy Lipton that's his daughter in the movie.
Yeah. And I mean, she's basically everyone other than the bad guys in Charles Bronson are they're there, but they're kind of irrelevant. Like they're basically just getting shuffled from scene to scene and like getting abused off camera. Thankfully, off camera. Especially after watching Instant Death last week, I'm kind of glad that all that was off camera.
No extended sexual abuse scenes on camera, thankfully.
Yeah. They fucking kill a dude with a crane in this movie in the most ridiculous way that I've seen in a while. And then you also get to see him riding the same, like he gets onto not a wrecking ball. It's got like a big chopper looking thing on it, but he's riding that and like firing guns off. I'm like, what the fuck is this movie all about? I love this shit.
I think it's pretty fair to say that there will be a Charles Bronson theme month coming up because we have talked about Charles Bronson movies. Yeah. And it could be 2 months. There are so many great,
just rest of the year. Let's just Charles Bronson. This is from after, let's get past, the next month or so. And then this is going to be the Charles Bronson Pod Monster podcast.
This Kinjite is the last film that Bronson filmed for canon. So this is the last canon film from Charles Bronson.
I feel like I would have remembered the canon logo on it, but I'll take your word for it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. And much like whatever the last one was,
5 minutes 10 to midnight. 10 to midnight.
Well, something like that. Mm-hmm. Much like that. I for you especially, I couldn't recommend this movie more. And for anyone else who's listening, like, I don't know. I think I've just been in like a grimy cop movie mood lately, like just watching them, not good cop movies, just the ones where they're kind of just as bad as the criminals that they're fighting type movies. I've been watching a lot of those lately, and these ones, the Bronson ones, definitely shine a little bit brighter than some of their counterparts, for sure. You heard it here first. Apparently, we're going to do Charles Bronson marathon at some point in the not too distant future. But yeah, that's all I have that's really worth bringing up at the moment. I mean, I have other stuff, but that's all that's worth talking about. So, you got anything you want to add before we take a break?
I think it's time to look at some comments.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll stare at the sky and turn to dust.
Hey folks, Sean here. Are you a horror fan? Get your fix with the LK the Horror Nerd podcast. Step into the world of spine-tingling thrills, chilling tales, and deep dives into everything horror with the LK the Horror Nerd podcast. Hosted by the incredible Lorelei Kerouac, this show offers a fresh, inclusive perspective on the genre we all know and love. Each episode is a unique mix of movie reviews, TV show breakdowns, book recommendations, video game critiques, and more. With insightful discussions, expert interviews, and a passionate take on horror news, LK the Horror Nerd brings the spooky straight to your ears. Whether you're into blood-curdling scares or thoughtful genre analysis, LK the Horror Nerd has something for you. You can check out LK and the other fine podcasts at yourunpodcast.com.
All right, this week we are talking about Night of the Comet. And before we get going on that, I want to let you know that this is going to be our movie for Frankenstein this month in July. I believe it is on July 24th, if I remember right. I don't have the date in front of me, but that sounds about right. There'll be information in the notes about it in case you are interested in coming out to watch this. We start each of these movies with a third-party review. This review is from Anonymous, but Anonymous really nails it on this. Anonymous says, I give this movie an 86 out of B+, 3.5 out of 5 stars. So with that in mind, Sean, what is Night of the Comet all about?
I was expecting a lot more exposition for whatever reason, but for Night of the Comet, we go to...
How do you get more out of 86 out of B+?
I mean, that's great. It's perfect.
I thought a B+ was an 88 or like 89. I didn't think it was 86, but...
It's straddling the line of a B+, A minus.
It definitely
maybe?
straddles.
Okay, so for Night of the Comet, we go to IMDb, we type in the words Night of the Comet. It brings up a 1984 movie that is rated PG-13. It is an hour and 35 minutes. It gets a 6.3 out of 10. And this is 26,000 ratings we're talking about here, which is no slouch. And it's probably one of the higher amounts of ratings that we've had in quite a while. I'm sure our audience could attest. We're going to read the storyline of the plot. I never know which one's first, but it's going to be up at the top.
Distracted by Charles Bronson and like weird fucking documentaries to watch good movies.
So we start up at the top. Never know which one comes first, but they wouldn't put it on top if they didn't want you to read it first. It says, a comet wipes out most of life on Earth, leaving two Valley girls fighting against cannibal zombies and a sinister group of scientists. And if we scroll on down to the storyline that must make the top one the plot, this one comes care of Jamie Kidwell. I believe it's spelled the way that a male would spell it. So Jamie says, this often overlooked 80s film about a pair of sisters, one, the quintessential Valley girl, who find themselves, along with a few others, as the sole survivors after a comet wiped out all terrestrial life. It's funny, clever, well-written, and acted. Jamie, you didn't leave much to the imagination. You're telling us way too much about this movie.
Yeah, is this a review or a synopsis?
Yeah, really, what the hell? That's what we're here for. It's for the review.
Yeah. God damn it, Jamie.
You're taking up our thing. Shtick.
That's right. Sean, before we get going on this, who's in this movie that we give a shit about?
Yeah, so I always tell you the cast that I care about and the people I recognize, some of them at least. Can't go through the full thing, but we've got Catherine Mary Stewart, who plays Regina. She was in The Last Starfighter, Weekend at Bernie's, Days of Our Lives for quite a few episodes. We have Kelli Maroney, who plays Samantha, her sister. She was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She was in Chopping Mall. We talked about her in Chopping Mall. She's in The Zero Boys. She's in a ton of B-movie kind of specialty 80s kind of things. We have Robert Beltran, who plays Hector. He was in Star Trek Voyager and Big Love. We have Mary Woronov, who plays Audrey White, Dr. Audrey White. She was in Rock and Roll High School and Rock and Roll High School Forever. She was in Terror Vision and also in Chopping Mall. We've got Jeffrey Lewis playing Dr. Carter. He is Juliet Lewis's dad. We talked about him in Double Impact. He's in tons of other shit. He was in Devil's Rejects, Only the Strong, The Lawnmower Man, just to name a few. And we've got Michael Bowen, who plays Larry. He's just in a very short role here. He was Buck from Kill Bill. He was in Magnolia. He was Uncle Jack from Breaking Bad. He's been in a bunch of Tarantino movies, and he was in Valley Girl.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
So
that's your cast.
This movie is a request. It's a request to kind of do a double feature between talking about this and showing it at Batch for Frankenstein's. It's kind of a Christmas in July theme, I guess. It does take place around Christmas. I think it's closer to New Year's based off what's going on in the movie, but it's still Christmassy a little bit. For me, I went into this thinking I had seen this before, and after watching it this time, I'm not 100% sure I had, because I kind of remember I knew Kelli Maroney was in this. I knew she had the cheerleader outfit on because I remember seeing images of her with the not Uzi that whatever it is, the gun that she has. Yeah, sure. I don't know the difference, and I'm okay with that. But for me, I'm pretty sure was a first watch on this, which I have some interesting opinions on that, which we'll get. Well, they're probably not that interesting, but I have some opinions on that we'll probably get into. Do you have a history with this movie at all, or is this a first watch for you?
No, I've seen this several times. I mean, it's been a while, and it's been such a long time that I thought that I remembered things that either didn't happen or vice versa. Like I didn't remember things that happened. So it's the first watch in a while, but I've definitely seen this 3, 4, 5 times.
Sounds like we're basically saying the same thing, but it's completely different at the same time.
No, I can definitely guarantee that I've seen this before.
Okay. Well, I can't, but so why don't we start just kind of going with stuff that we like in this? Because I think this is one that's going to have kind of a lot on both sides of it. Were there any things in this that you wanted to point out right out the gate that you like from this movie?
The thing I want to point out from the top is that I really, really, really like the I don't know if it's official artwork or whatever, but the artwork from the poster of the door opening with the silhouette, the woman's silhouette in it, and all the people looking up at the sky. I think that's a really cool, iconic movie poster. And this movie, I feel like whole Night of the Comet thing, this came out in 1984, but that's only a few years earlier than, you're a lot younger than I am, but Halley's Comet was 1986. And I remember Meyer, one of our local grocers, they had all these things that your kids could come down to and play these games or do these puzzles or whatever, all these activities for kids to do to earn Halley's Comet stickers or pins or different kinds of little promotional merchandise things. And when I started this movie and they have all these people out in it almost looks like Times Square or something, and they're like, I'm here for the comet, or I love the comet, or whatever. I had to do a double take on the date that this was out, because this predates Halley's Comet by 2 years, but it feels almost like this movie was released to take advantage of Halley's Comet like coming in the next few years, because that was like huge news. Halley's Comet's like once every 75 years or something like that. And I was really kind of surprised to see that the movie came out before Halley's Comet came out. So I thought that was a pretty cool little tidbit that they had all these people, all excited for the comet.
There's one guy in that crowd that's wearing a black, it's either like a sweater or a sweatshirt or a t-shirt that says Comet watching. And I need to get on eBay and see if I can find it, because if I can find a shirt that says Comet watching, I'm buying it.
I thought you were going to say the guy with the bucket hat that kind of looked a little bit like LL Cool J, that looked like he was smoking a blunt or something.
So one of the things I read or watched getting up to this is that it's not confirmed, but that might be LL Cool J, because this is on the same distribution that Def Jam was on, and he got signed the same summer that they were producing this. So they think there's a strong chance that is LL Cool J.
Oh, you're going to make me find this clip and put it in the show notes.
Sorry.
I feel like it's associated.
I'll send you what I saw that has that, because I only watched a couple things like leading up to it. I'll see if I can find out which one it was and send it to you. Anyway, so for me, one of the things I like the aesthetic of this movie. This movie's, for everything that happens in it, this movie plays like a 50s movie, like a 50s sci-fi movie, but it looks like a 1980s, somewhere between horror and sci-fi movie. Like I could see an argument for either. I'd probably lean more towards horror, primarily because it has Kelli Maroney, who that's what most people are going to know her from, is horror movies. And it's kind of got zombies in it. So that kind of goes closer to that. But I like how this movie, like the look of this movie is awesome, between the like constant like orange tones when they're outside, at least the majority of the movie, the way the actual comet looks when it passes, or what they do to the sky with it, like these super shitty like 80s Atari graphics look amazing in this movie. And then the stuff when they go to some of the interiors, like the costuming for these people, well, I guess it's probably not even costuming because this was in the 80s, but the way they make these characters dress and look for the part is like, you want nostalgia bait, this is it. Like, it's gonna totally make you feel like it's 1984 in this. The way that everything's lit with the like neon blues and the neon pinks looks really cool against each other in this. Like every set piece, just about, even when they get to where the scientists are and it looks like something out of like, a bad Star Trek movie or something, like one of the episodes of Star Trek where they're just using like lighting to make a room look twice as big as what it is. All that stuff is done really cool in this movie, and it makes it really aesthetically interesting. And it's almost like, even in rooms where there's not a lot of stuff in there, like there's one room in this where I don't remember if it's a dude or what room it is, but there's like a art piece on the wall that has these like neon lights that it's got like a neon jazz band or something like that.
Yeah, it's on the radio station.
Yeah. And I was just like fascinated by watching this like light sequence thing that's going on behind it for cool. The like, yeah, like there's so much stuff like that in this movie that just totally catches the eye. And it's like, that's really fucking neat. And I feel like if you were talking about just a movie that looks like it's from its decade, this one nails it. Like it, as much, if not more, than a lot of the movies that we've talked about on the show.
And it's funny you bring that up, because while it is 1984 and it perfectly captures that aesthetic, at the same time, while the movie feels like it's of that time, it also feels kind of timeless in that same respect, which is weird. And it's funny that you bring up the look of it, because that was a thing that I had listed as likes, but it's hard to put your finger on exactly what the look is that makes it so compelling to actually watch. And that I was like looking at that neon thing with the band playing in the background. There's like a guy playing a saxophone, and there's somebody else doing some other, I don't know, playing like
a cello or a bass or something like that.
Yeah, some stand-up kind of bowed instrument. And I'm like, they don't show any detail. They don't show any detail of it, so you can't see like all the neon tubes and stuff. But it's like that's a masterpiece. Like this thing's playing.
Oh, yeah.
There's a radio station that they go into where they meet Hector, one of the other main characters. And I just wanted to kind of point out the movie, just for those who are uninitiated, basically like a once in a lifetime comet flies by with Earth in its tail. And anyone that's not, they really actually do a good job explaining like why certain people are survivors. Anyone not contained in a steel encased area, basically, either turn into a zombie, like a cannibalistic zombie humanoid, or they turn into just red dust, like they dehydrate and turn into dust. So the two sisters, Regina and Samantha, are our two main characters. Basically, they are one of them's in like a projection booth at a movie theater, and the other one slept in a shed because they got in a fight with their stepmom, and they survive, and they have to try to navigate this whole world and figure out safety and everything. And the movie has this whole, they reveal it as the movie goes along, but they reveal this subplot of like, some of the survivors are having, if they were exposed to the comet, they're having these symptomatic of eventually becoming these zombies, which is a really interesting feel, because I think like the whole cast of this movie, like if you don't include the scientists, the people that have been above ground the entire time, I feel like it's really maybe like 8 people that have survived this whole thing, maybe 9.
Yeah, if that.
Because there's a character at the end that comes into play, and you're like, oh, this other guy survived, and he's just been cruising around the city or whatever for a month, and he has no idea there's other people. So it's a really cool twist on like a post-apocalyptic / like zombie / Christmas theme, because the whole thing happens like right before Christmas, but it's in California, so it doesn't really look Christmassy, but it's definitely a Christmas time. And the sisters decide as teenagers in the 80s, like they're going to go to the radio station because they continually hear this broadcast. And when they get to the radio station, they realize that it's like a tape.
It's actually a pretty smart move by movie characters. It's for this kind of movie. You know, they go to the mall, which makes sense. Like that's something you would expect any teenager to do, like a lot of people do in this situation. You see it in a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
But them deciding to go to the radio station because they're hearing this broadcast, and obviously it turns out to be pre-recorded, but most of what they do these are not stupid characters, and they're both right. I know Samantha's supposed to be like 16 in the movie, and I think Regina's like a year or two older than her.
She's not much she's older 18. Yeah, because she's talking to her stepmom.
Yeah. So these aren't like for two teenage Valley girls basically running around, like they're not dumb like at all. Like you can make the argument that Kelli Maroney kind of looks like a bimbo in it because she's in a cheerleader outfit through the majority of the movie, but they make relatively smart decisions the whole time. It turns out they can fight because they kick the shit out of a couple zombies, the like 2 that are in the movie. You know, they show them that they can operate a firearm without a problem. Like they seem like they're able to take care of themselves pretty well, all things considered. And it's actually another thing that you could just kind of throw on like likes. I like that these are not dumb characters, even though they managed to tell this story in a relatively lighthearted way. Like it's not like Dawn of the Dead where there's only 4 characters that you're following. They're not dumb, but it's also, there's no point where you feel like this is going to get better, where like it doesn't feel, I mean, kind of, but it doesn't feel like total like depresso doom and gloom through this movie. It feels kind of upbeat, even though it's like a pretty shitty situation.
And I agree. Like the thing I was going to say is that I really love the compactness of the story. Like I think we've kind of banged the drum on this several times, but when you get a movie that doesn't take 25 minutes to introduce the characters and another 25 minutes to introduce like the plot, the movie within the first 12 minutes, they tell you the setup. They tell you that the comet's coming. They set the mood. Everyone turns to dust, and it's just what happened. It's like, you know, sorry, shit sucks. People are laying in the street. They're red dust in the shape of people. And like another 10
Life
to
15,
15,
people are dead. Let's go to the mall.
Right. Yeah. Let's get on with it. And it's another 10 to 15 minutes to realize that, you know, everyone's gone, but they do this really great thing. There's like a narrator that comes on at the beginning to tell you the story. Like, this is a setup. This is what we're expecting to happen. The thing happens, people disappear, you know, and then we just jump straight into it. It doesn't treat the audience like they're stupid, and the characters aren't stupid. And they write things into the script, and they just kind of mention offhandedly, like, oh yeah, Dad, he's a Green Beret, you know, like he's away, he's in Honduras or whatever with the Sandinistas and yada yada. So they kind of give you all the things right in the story itself. The characters just say it, and you hear it and you just believe it because the characters don't act like idiots.
Are there any things you don't like in this movie?
I'm not even done with the likes. Are we done with the likes? I got like tons of them.
Keep go more likes. Go for it.
Well, I like that. I like the variation on the zombies or the whatever what they really are. I don't really know. They don't actually say what they are, but they talk. They're still human, and they basically are just like, almost think of it, most of them are like almost like another race of human, right? There are the humans, the regular normal people, the characters that we're following in the movie, and there are the adversaries that they meet in the movie that are these kind of like, I don't know, milky-eyed, weird, like sunken-faced zombies, essentially.
I like the look of them.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would call them zombies, but that's what everyone calls them in this, but I like the look of them.
And Willie and the crew, like the stock boys in the mall, they're kind of, you're kind of like, why are they so dead set against stopping these people? And you think like, oh, maybe it's because they're taking stuff at the mall, and you find out, no, it has nothing to do with that. They want to actually just eat them, right? That's what these people do. I love that this movie, you can tell licensing must have been ridiculous at this time too, because in the mall scene, there is a Girls Just Want to Have Fun version that plays. It's not the Cyndi Lauper version. It's just
also that song's not on the actual soundtrack release. It's only in the movie, which kind of disappoints me. Which, like you said, I think it lends to the cost on this, because this movie is like a masterclass on how to take a shoestring budget and still make something really cool.
I think it was like $700,000 or something, the budget on this, the reported budget.
I thought it was 70, and they made like 14 million on it.
Yeah, I think IMDb says that it was 700,000 right. Estimated budget, and it made 14. Yeah. So, yeah. Licensing must have been expensive, because they do a cover version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. The other thing I wanted to mention of a really, when I mention likes, it's always like this kind of standout like that I have about the movie. The reveal of the stock boys, that they're actually zombies. The reveal is really good. The makeup, not so much when they do the close-ups of Willie, the leader of all these stock boy zombie type characters. It's not great. He doesn't look like the best, but because you can start to see, and again, we've mentioned this so many times. I don't know if it's a victim of like HD, and maybe the theatrical print or the VHS copy or whatever looked fine. You didn't notice, but you can really see where the makeup is very spotty on his face. And it's like, before he pulls down the sunglasses, you know that he's going to have something. I
kind of like it, even with the HD cut, because it looks, what's a good way to put this? Everyone that, aside from like the people who aren't zombies or whatever, they all kind of look like they got hit with part of a comet. Like, they all look a little crusty. They all look a little shitty. They all look like, they went on a bender and didn't quite like make it out right.
They didn't hydrate
kind of limping around. Yeah, like I don't want to call it believable, because that would be a different set of ridiculous. But I don't know. It is noticeable that you can see the makeup. You can see all the like shit in it. Like I completely agree with you. But for this movie, none of that bothers me. Like it just kind of works. Even like, I don't know, maybe that's just the art of like making something like this, is like your imperfections can look like they belong because you're pulling everything else off at the same time. Yeah, but that's I mean, I really enjoy the movie, but that's the end of my like strong likes. I think the big, elephant in the room as far as what's probably going to be a dislike, and I'm actually kind of divided on this. Like, I would like to see more, if this is an 80s movie, even though it feels like it's very much so throwing back to like a 50s like type feel to it. I think there's part of me that would have liked to seen these two girls get into more shit with like, whether it's run into more zombies, get more out of the, because they only run into like 4 legitimate, like full on cannibals or whatever they are. I would like to seen a little bit more of that. I would have liked to seen a little bit more danger for them to encounter throughout the journey. And I do like the little like reprieves of them kind of figuring like it's fine. Like, I'm not complaining about what we got necessarily, because I do like it as it is, but I can't help but feel like, you've got this setup that is kind of really easy to make like a bigger movie out of. Like, you got 2 girls with guns kicking ass and taking names in this like barren wasteland apocalypse, and we only get 4 zombies that attack them. I kind of feel like there should have been a little bit more of that. I would have liked that, but the flip side of that is once you do that, you're not talking about the same feel or the same vibe of all of a sudden now it is a zombie movie or it is a, something in the vein of a Mad Max or like that kind of action movie. Like it changes the whole tone of the movie if they do that. So it's like I said, it is, I think I would like to see more of it either way, but I admit that you would be talking about a whole different type of finished product if that were to be fleshed out more.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also kind of ridiculous to assume that there's only a handful of people that survive this whole thing. Like the explanation is you have to, essentially these people all slept in some area or they were in some area that was encased in steel.
What's his face said he was in a pickup truck, which has
I think he was in a trailer, like a truck trailer, but still Hector. Yeah. I think it's kind of, I don't know. It's a little odd to assume that only 4 like human survivors or whatever it was, or 5 by the time we get to the end, were actually in this specific zone, or 6, whatever. There's like, it's like a running count that only 6 people like actually were in this specific scenario. And it's like, well, how come certain people survived, but they were the cannibalistic humanoid, not to be like confused with chuds, but how did these chuds, these other chuds, like, how did these other chuds survive? And yeah, I agree. I feel like it would have been a more interesting movie because I do feel like there are some pacing issues with this, especially
a little bit
after that mall scene. And there's this whole like section of the movie with one of the girls being kind of abducted and taken to this like military facility. And I don't know, that's kind of a weak part of the movie. Like, admittedly, I feel like I really enjoy the movie, but with all the kind of cat and mouse that happens in the science kind of area, it's a bit of a turnoff because there are these few scenes in the movie where there's this guard or there's a silhouette of a person and they have this whole overview of the maze structure underground. But when the girls get down there and they're trying to evade the other scientists, they somehow can't find them. They've already set up this establishing shot of being able to oversee the whole thing, but then suddenly they can't find them when they're inside of it. And I was like, come on, guys, you've shown us this scene, this setup like 2 or 3 times. There's no way that they're not discoverable at this point.
Yeah. And I would have liked them to use I don't think this is a stretch. I like the idea of these apocalyptic cities, like being turned to waste, and like the way they make the city look, even though you can see like the window washer in the one scene because they couldn't pay to get them off the windows or whatever. I don't know if you noticed that or not. So the first scene when they go into whatever that main street is there and you see the skyscrapers, there's a dude up there still washing windows.
Oh, I'm going to have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah. You're going to at Princeton's Times. So.
That's true. Yeah. There you go.
But I would have liked to have seen more, like, with all due respect to the Sherman Oaks Galleria, which we've seen I don't know how many.
Chopping
got to be like the
first in the 100th episode.
It's got to be like the 4th time that we've talked about that mall or a movie that went into that mall. There's those and Terminator 2, and I'm sure I'm forgetting one.
I wonder if Phantom of the Mall was there.
I don't know. Anyway, with all due respect to the Sherman Oaks Galleria, like, I would have liked more time with them being in the street, kind of dealing with this, like, whatever's come of the city. It would have been cool to be able to, like, again, the mall's a good idea, but, like, I don't know, loot like a bodega or something like that, like some other stuff. I don't know. I would have liked a little bit more of that too. What we get is really cool and like has this really eerie, like fun vibe to it. I don't know if fun's the right word, but I don't know. That's the biggest downfall with this movie is the things that are so cool in this. It does leave you kind of wanting more. And I guess you could say that's, a good thing, but it's kind of why I think that's why this movie scores like low a lot from people is for all the things that it does, it's really cool. It leaves a lot of meat on the bone.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of situations that come up that you wish that they'd kind of expand on a little bit more because it is such a cool concept. Like the idea is cool. The execution is really cool. The way that they do it, you're just kind of like, man, I wish that they would have more. I'm torn.
Well,
like, I don't feel the scientist part is necessarily lame, but there are so many other things that I feel like that they have to have that kind of thing in the movie, but there's so many other cool things that they could have done in there as well.
Well, it's also, you add on that like your two main characters are both very likable characters.
Yeah.
So to not kind of use that to your advantage more, whatever that entails, whether that's getting them into more shenanigans or just having them have more like dicking around, having fun at the end of the world scenes, or however you choose to do it, it almost feels like you're, again, leaving meat on the bone, to use the same phrase I just used, by not getting more out of that. Like, because they're both good. They're both likable. They seem to have a pretty good chemistry between the two of them. Like, I don't know that I would buy that they're sisters, but they play it off well from an acting perspective. And this is why I was saying earlier about the remake thing. Like, this is a movie that I would be really skeptical if we got a remake of it, but like this, like to a T, fits what I would want to see out of a remake, because it's a great idea and a great concept, and it did a lot right, but I feel like it could have done a lot better at the same time. So this, again, right hands and all that type of shit. If this got a remake, I can see myself being very curious about it without too much hesitation.
Well, John, there is a remake in the works, supposedly, but I think it's been postponed.
It's been like 15 years that they've been threatening that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. When I looked this up for IMDb to start talking about it, there was one that came at the very top, right? You'd expect that you put in words, Night of the Comet, the movie is going to come up first. And it was like an in-production thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Guess they're thinking of redoing it.
I'll believe it when I get, like, yeah. I don't, whatever. So they're supposedly remaking Chopping Mall, but not James Wan. The guy,
no, it is James Wan.
He's the guy who's the Wynorski. Is that the guy who directed the original?
Yeah. Wynorski. Yep. Jim Wynorski. Yep.
He didn't want Wan to do it, so he auctioned it put it up as a TV show just to stop James Wan from making it. So we'll see what the fuck happens. You know, we don't have it right now, is, you know, what it is. So, I mean, that we've kind of hit the main points that I want to hit with it. Like, again, the negatives on this are kind of hard to, like, I don't want to bash this movie because a lot of the negatives that are in it, like the things that are truly negative, you know, they're budgetary. And I'm not going to shit on a movie for that, because for a low budget movie, they got a lot out of their $700,000 in this, in my opinion. And I don't want to like ruin what happens in this movie any more than we already have. You got anything you want to add before we start grilling up some hot dogs?
Then you're in for a big treat, bro, because it's hot dog time.
So I'll go ahead and lead us off. For me, like, this is absolutely a full hot dog. I feel like this is actually kind of underrated. Like, I see it, like, anywhere I've been looking at, a lot of people seem to hate on this movie, and I don't really get that. This is fun. It's got likable characters. Again, I love the 50s feel with the 80s paint on it. I think that's a really cool way to do it. And I know we saw a lot of 50s movies get remade in the 80s, mostly as pretty good movies in their own right. This feels fresh in its own way. It does have some things that will leave you wanting more, but that's not always the worst thing. At the end of the day, this is just a fun watch. It's an easy one to put on and kind of have a good time with. It's actually a really easy movie to, if you have like kids that want to start getting into horror. This isn't that horror of a horror movie. Like, it's got some zombies in it, but it's not like they're going to be like ripping open anyone's guts or anything. You don't really see anything like that. So this is a pretty approachable movie for essentially anyone who's into this kind of stuff. I'd give it a full hot dog.
Whose hot dog is this, huh? Is it yours?
Nah.
I'm going to try and see if one of my kids want to watch this, and I'll report back what they thought. But for me, like, it had been a while since I watched this, and I remembered it being maybe a little bit more upbeat than it was, maybe a little bit quicker moving than it was. I think it's still required viewing for anybody that's a fan of zombie or post-apocalyptic movies. It follows those themes of like capitalism, consumerism, skepticism in the government, and how teens basically would act in a post-apocalyptic world, which, if you've listened to the show, you know that presses a whole lot of my buttons. I love the vibes of this movie. For me, full hot dog, like, no question. This is one that I would recommend, like, over a bunch of the shit that we've watched. But this is just a fun movie. It's, like you said, it's got like the 80s paint over 50s feels and vibes and all that stuff. I'm just a huge fan of this movie.
Are you trying to tell me that you would watch this over Instant Death?
I think I'd rather be instantly killed than watch instant death again. I would definitely watch this over instant death. Yeah, for the movie that got a third of a hot dog, if I remember correctly.
Between the two of us.
Right.
So, yeah, that's probably fair. So,
no shade on Lou Ferrigno, but I would take.
No, we
the
sung
Comet.
the praises.
Yes.
We both sung praises of Lou Ferrigno in that shit movie. So
Lou
it's not
Ferrigno
his
is
fault.
the least of the worries of instant death.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's it. We like this movie. Again, we are going to be showing this at Frankenstein's. Keep an eye out on all the usual places. We'll go over that again momentarily. But right now, we have a question of the week. And this week, we are going to just ask you kind of right out front, what is a movie that could be improved by just simply adding more zombies? Because that's kind of what we said might need to happen in this movie. We have some responses from you, our listeners, and we're going to start over on Instagram. And Parker over at Dissect That Film said, Fast and the Furious, but a zombie apocalypse edition. I've only watched one Fast and the Furious movie.
Really?
Maybe two, maybe one, or I haven't watched many of them.
Dang.
I don't really like
missing
Vin
out.
Diesel. Yeah, I don't feel like
He's kind of like a diminishing returns kind of I don't think he really shows up all that much. It's more of a
one
Paul Walker
that
thing
I saw
until he died.
I don't really like him either.
Oh, come on.
Sorry. But yes, if you put some zombies in Fast and the Furious, I will give that movie a try.
John, have you ever played the game Carmageddon?
No, I don't even know what that is.
So it's like a race. It's a racing game, but all the people, quote unquote, are zombies, and they're just wandering the streets. And it's like kind of a point of the game to run over as many zombies as possible. I think Fast and the Furious with zombies would be amazing.
All right, I'm here for it. Sounds like it's kind of Grand Theft Auto, except the people that you hit are actually zombies.
Yeah, they don't dodge as much. I remember in the first game, because there's been several games, but there's one of them where you can go inside of a football stadium and the players on the field, you can just run them over. It's great. It's pretty amazing.
Still on Instagram, Undead Symphony Pod says, look who's talking. Those Bruce Willis and Christy Alley talking baby comedies. Look who's eating too. Who doesn't love zombie babies a la Z Nation, Rise of the Zombies, and Dawn of the Dead 2004? I mean,
I'm down.
Zombie babies. I'd give it a try. So, do we get current day Bruce Willis in that, or do we get...
Oh, come on.
That was...
Too soon.
You're going to leave that in there, aren't you?
No, I am. Absolutely.
It's good. Over on Blue Sky, our good friend Boomer over at Podcast in the Woods says, Titanic would have been amazing if they had a fog-style zombie pirate show up and cause some havoc. He said this, and the only thing I could think of was movies like, I was thinking like the Fulci zombie movie, or even the Land of the Dead one where they start walking underwater. It'd be really funny if everyone got off the boat and, what's her face is floating out her door or whatever the fuck she's on, and some zombie just grabs her and
grabs
pulls
her
her
off
under.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty entertaining. So yeah, I'm totally for like zombies showing up on the Titanic. I also wouldn't be surprised if there's some CG nightmare that has something along those lines.
When I was on vacation, I watched Titanic 2, which was amazing.
There's a Titanic 2?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. I'm not linking that in the show notes. You'll have to look for it yourself.
Okay. You're breaking my brain here. What is the plot of Titanic 2?
Is
it just another boat goes out and hits another iceberg? Or
yeah, essentially like something along those. It's not anything even worth like wasting your time on. It's one of those like movies you find on YouTube that are free where they have really shitty special effects. And it was one of those movies that like your checkout from your Airbnb is at 10 a.m. and you're up at 8 a.m. and you're like, I got to kill 2 hours because my flight is like in 6 hours and I don't want to sit at the airport for 4 hours. So yeah.
Okay. I don't think I need to look up Titanic 2 anymore.
No.
Justin over at Pop Culture Reflections Podcast says, any Jurassic Park film, definitely Star Wars, and without question, the abomination known as Forrest Gump.
I like all those ideas. Those are great.
Justin, I want you to send us something on this so we can kind of clip it in here. If you have the time, I would appreciate it. Do dinosaurs become zombies in your Jurassic Park zombie movie?
I would just love to see like an army of zombies overtaking a raptor or something.
T-Rex.
I think that would be amazing. I think it would have to be a small zombie.
Chaotic.
Or a small dinosaur.
where's the challenge in that? I want to see like, I mean, I didn't really like this movie, but I'm thinking like World War Z, where they just like pile up in this big, massive like zombie, like whatever, and just reduce a T-Rex to like a skeleton or something. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
zombie Star Wars. I mean, can they use the Force? I mean, sure. And then Forrest Gump, and I mean, I'm all for it. Whatever.
That's why he's got to keep running.
And then A Man After My Own Heart, CD Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. Yes, that is the screen name. They say, it's like they stole my answer. Passion of the Christ, which I've used that answer for more than a lot of things. More than I should. Yeah. That's called Easter, the movie. So, Sean, do you have any movies you would like to add zombies to and make them better?
Mallrats.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I mean, it's a great movie on its own, but zombies, it could be a whole nother thing. Next level.
I'm all for it. So, since Passion of the Christ has already been said, I'm going to go ahead and say we need to throw some zombies in Independence Day. I want Will Smith to, say welcome to Earth to one of them.
Yep.
Let's throw some zombies in A Christmas Story, especially if I have to watch it all day on, well, I don't ever watch it all day on Christmas, but if it's going to play all day on Christmas, put some zombies in there.
I would love for Darren McGavin to close the door and it be a zombie ear instead of a dog ear.
That'd be great.
Damn Columbus.
So, let's see. Let's do one more. What else would be a good movie with some zombies?
Clerks 3.
Beauty and that should be a slasher, where none of the characters that currently exist in it are the slasher. But Danny Trejo gets to be the final girl because he's the best part of that movie. Yeah, we'll just go with that. Clerks 3, fuck it. What would
be great? Machete with zombies.
Like its own side thing, like Machete versus Zombies type thing.
I mean, I think it would be pretty cool if Machete had zombies in it, but if we had Machete against zombies or something as its own standalone film, that would be pretty fun too.
I mean, I'll watch anything with Machete in it, so
yeah.
I'm fine with that. So
who?
Machete.
Machete.
Yeah, anything you want to tack on before we wrap up on this?
No, let's wrap up.
If you would like to contribute to the show, you can do that. So we take all your feedback. You can send it to us on social media. We're at Dewey Pot Monster, pretty much everywhere except Blue Sky, where we are at crap.town. You can send messages. Tell us how dumb our responses are. Tell us to watch Passion of the Christ for reasons. Whatever you want to do. It's all available to you through social media. You could also go to our website, which is crap.town, or you could go to Rotten Tomatoes. There's a feedback option on there as well. If you want us to watch something that we haven't talked about, send us a message. Send us some suggestions. Tell us to watch Charles Bronson movies, because that's something that we will probably do. And of course, we do want you to please go to yourunpodcast.com. That is the network that we're on. You can find all of our shows on there, as well as all the other great members on the You Run Podcast Network. Check out someone else while you're there. Let them know that we sent you there. Whatever you want to do, we would greatly appreciate it. I'm watching this video that you replied to of Charles Bronson looking at pictures, and I forgot how funny that is, even though I already reposted it. But Sean, what am I forgetting? As I'm being distracted by Charles Bronson.
If you want your question of the week answered on this here show or read on this here show, you got to answer that question of the week. You can do that by finding us on social media, on all the places John cares about. Obviously, you can find him at Dewey Pod Monster or on Blue Sky at crap.town. For me, you can find me at internalbleeding.crap.town. I post shitty little clips of shitty little movies that we watch and talk about. And if you want to help the show, we post all the things we talk about in the show notes. Most of them are free, but the ones that say Amazon next to them are affiliate links. If you click those links and you watch something, if you buy something, whatever you do, if you click those things, we get like a little percentage of some money that Jeff Bezos gets and Lauren Sanchez and all that stuff for flight lessons or whatever that they do over there with their gazillions of dollars. Click those things, buy some things. We get a little bit of a kickback. That's the best way to support the show. Otherwise, the other good way to support the show is by leaving a review, telling your friends, leaving a positive review, 5 stars. Say, these guys are great. They talk about Night of the Comet. They talk about Steven Seagal. They talk about Charles Bronson.
Instant death.
And Lou Ferrigno. Because Lou Ferrigno's the best, but Charles Bronson is just a little bit better than Lou Ferrigno. And yeah, you can leave a review on all your podcast platforms of your choice. And that goes towards people maybe checking out the show and finding out about it. And that's a great way to support the show.
And of course, like we said, this is a Frankenstein's episode. Please do come. If you are in the Metro Detroit area, we will be at Batch Brewing in Corktown on July 24th watching this movie. You can come watch it with us. You can have a hot dog or some sort of sausage. You can have several beers, whatever you want to do. We will be there showing this movie and having a good time. We would love for you to come join us.
If you come by and you stop by the table, you see us because we're the guys and we'll be telling you that we're presenting this movie. We'll give you 2 stickers.
That's right. Assuming that we remember to bring them. But until next time, until we are swelling up with you over at Batch, we do ask you to swell up now, you butthorns, and we'll be back next week with some more shenanigans.
Bird season's over, butthorn.
If you're a fan of either zombie or post-apocalyptic, Jesus Christ! One more time. Stop laughing. Gotta cut all that shit out.